Hey fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. As you know, I love playing tennis. I returned to tennis. I'm a late returner or a late starter, whatever you want to phrase it as. I know many of you are returners to the game, so I think this content could be interesting to you. My coaching wasn't very good in my hometown. It was expensive. I'm not from a rich family, so we had to kind of focus on other sports and activities, like I told you, chess, football. But if I had stuck with tennis, my technique would have been far better because you really get that muscle memory ingrained. So getting back to tennis, I was in my 20s, was obviously difficult, like after just playing it as a kid and then just recreationally playing. And then when you get back to a sport, the passion might be stronger than ever. Maybe you relate to this. If you do, please put that in the comments below. But I feel sometimes that if you've been in the game for all your life, maybe that passion is waning a little bit because you didn't make it to the pro tour and you played enough tennis, so you might not be as excited as some of us new starters or returners to the game might feel about the sport in general. But there are many obstacles that come with that, and that's something I wanted to talk about in this video and learnings I've made, because I've been playing a lot of tennis the last couple of years. Before, I was more of a weekend warrior, pretty obsessed with gear. It's a fun topic, as I know you think as well, but I was really into that and learned as much as I could, just got into the whole thing with strings, tensions, rackets, how different they were, how they affected my game, how they affected other players' games, and so on. So got really into that jungle. But obviously I played more and more tennis as the years progressed. In the last couple of years, just before COVID, I think, I started playing a lot more because I wanted to focus more on Tennis Nerd. Obviously, you worked from home. It was a bit of a different world we all lived in. So it gave me more time to play a lot of tennis, focus on my game. And when you invest a lot of time into something, you want to see progress. And I definitely think I've seen some progress overall, but still I'm frustrated when I'm playing guys that are better, much better in some cases. I really feel like it's just like a gap that I can't bridge. I just want that technique or that forehand or that footwork. I get impatient and usually angry with myself. I'm pretty harsh on myself. So it's one of those things I have to watch out, because you can get quite down on yourself and negative and not enjoying it as much. And it's about having fun, you getting that exercise in. I love playing tennis, but sometimes when I feel like I'm underperforming, I get really frustrated. Not break racket frustrated, but pretty frustrated. That thing happens to me. I'm not sure about you, whether you're kind of into learning more or just having fun with the sport. Where do you come from? Let me know. What's your expectation from your tennis? My expectation since I started investing a lot of time is to see good, solid improvement. There's been improvement for sure. If you look at my early videos, technique was all over the place and stuff like that, but now it's getting better slowly, but still it's very difficult. And when you're playing better players like I did in Marbella, who's been playing on some kind of tour event, ITFs, it becomes very clear that you are limited in your game. But you should not let that get you down if you feel the same, because I think it's important to enjoy the sport for what you get from it, and where you are in your journey is just, that's your thing, right? You can't compare yourself to players that have played for a long time, or get down if you lose some club matches against players you think you should beat. For example, like pusher players who you might not like playing because they get everything back and then you start missing. It happened to a friend of mine as late as yesterday in a tournament here locally, and I know it's so super frustrating when you lose to someone you think you should beat, but it's a part of tennis. It's a part of the different styles, and just putting the ball in play is good enough against a lot of tennis players. It's a lot about building consistency, footwork, and the fundamentals. And I think a lot of us late starters or late returners to the game lack some fundamentals. So I've tried now to work a bit on that, and I'm gonna put more effort into that to actually really build a more solid foundation around my own game. I grew up playing on fast carpet courts in Sweden. The climate is not perfect for outdoor clay court tennis. So when you're playing on fast carpet courts, your tennis adapts to that. You're playing with a pretty heavy racket, driving through the court, getting to the net. It's all about winning points quickly. You don't have a lot of long rallies. Now that I've been in Spain more, or in the Mediterranean for such a long time, lived in Malta now for 15 years, it's a different form of tennis. It's a different style. You don't play indoors. And if you go to Spain, you play a lot on clay, which I love, although I move very badly on it, but I want to improve. And I definitely need to improve my technique and improve my consistency and my topspin. So those are key areas that I really want to focus on. I'm not really into tennis so much for the competitive aspect. I like the game as such. You know, I have a deep love for the game as it is. I do love to exercise in general, so it's one part of my, you know, daily exercise if I'm lucky to play daily, or at least, you know, every other day. So I think that's a key thing, but the enjoyment comes from actually being out on the court. There's a social element. You're meeting new people. You're having a good time. You might have a beer after the tennis. And it's just a very enjoyable activity. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to improve. Let it take the time it takes. Trust the process. Just keep working. These are just learnings that I tell myself mainly, because I feel like sometimes I get very frustrated that I'm not playing better than I think I should after so much tennis investment in the last couple of years. It's all about having fun in the end. If you're playing competitions, sometimes losing in tennis is the worst. You know, you feel horrible afterwards. That can be any sport, but if you're a competitive person, it can feel really bad. You don't need to play competitions. It's fun. But if it really harms your enjoyment of the sport, I think it's better to stay out. I sometimes like playing tournaments. I try to work on my mental part with Filippo from Mental Tennis. I've done some videos on mental tennis on this channel, and it really helped when I was playing a lot of matches. But to improve in match play and to learn how to use these tools to calm your mind and to be aggressive with consistency, you need to play a lot of matches. You can't just like turn up for one tournament a year or 3 tournaments a year. You need to keep a consistent tournament play. And that's something I would do if that was on my radar of improving. But you have to decide what you want with your tennis. If you're just happy to play weekend warrior style with your best friend, or just a tennis partner, or you play some local leagues, that's fine too. If you love teaching other people tennis or just enjoying tennis with other people, that's also good. I really like the aspect of seeing other people get enjoyment out of tennis. I think it fits my personality. It's rewarding for me in a way to see people, you know, learn more through my content, something where I feel like I give something back to what the sport has given me, which is a lot of enjoyment and some frustration, but mostly enjoyment. I think you have to find your path in tennis, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I have a few learnings. If you want to improve as a tennis player, the gear is one thing. I talk about gear all the time here. But it's also about building a consistent game. I will dive deeper into this topic a bit more. Like I said, I'm not a coach. I have studied a lot of coaching materials and worked with some players and done some stuff that resembles coaching, but I'm not a coach. One thing that I see a lot that I do myself is obsess over technique, and people get really into like having that ATP style forehand. You know, how can you shorten your backswing? I get comments on my videos. I see comments on other videos. People love watching other tennis players and then say, hey, you should improve this or you should improve that, without them actually showing if they can play or not. It's one of those things, like, don't think too much about technique. Focus on where the ball is going, because if you don't have the perfect forehand or backhand, it doesn't really matter if you can put the ball in the right place. I think it can really detract some from the enjoyment of the game. There is no like one perfect technique for everything. But when you work on that, just work on that. And when you play matches, points and sets, don't think about technique. Just focus on getting the ball and playing strategically smart, working on your mental part, working on things that are more competitive in tennis. Technique has to take a back seat then, and you focus on technique on a more technical level with a coach or yourself recording yourself. But it should be isolated, because if you get obsessed with technique, that can be all you think about when you play training matches or competitions and whatnot. And like when things are not working, you're starting to just obsess with the technique. That's not it. Focus on the contact point, where you want to hit the ball. Those two things are the like very, very fundamentals of the sport. It's all about having fun in the end. Whatever you get out of tennis, it's about having fun. So if you don't enjoy playing tournaments, don't play tournaments. That's my thing. I mean, you can work on why you don't enjoy playing tournaments. If there's some mental scar tissue or something, or you just hate losing, then maybe it's not for you. And you can play practice matches or just rally, or, you know, just enjoy tennis in another aspect of the game. Maybe you're in a similar place to me. Maybe you're trying to improve a lot. You're getting into tennis more and more. But you're going to encounter some frustrations on the journey, because tennis is such a technical sport. It requires many, many hours, but that's also why we love it, because it's deep and it has richness, and there's always something you can improve, no matter if you're Federer or beginner. Very different video today. There will be some more racket stuff coming up. It's been a bit of a dry period in terms of rackets and strings. My stringing machine broke as well, and I've been traveling, so there are a lot of aspects to why I don't have a lot of reviews at the moment, but there will be reviews coming up. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter, follow me on Instagram, YouTube. That's all for this one. Have a nice day now, and don't forget to play some tennis.